What is up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Today we are checking out the new REVV G20. You may recall the D20. Now this one is the G20. Now the G20 is a 2-channel clean and overdrive channel amplifier. It's 20 watts, 6v6 driven. It's got all kinds of features. One of the coolest features is that it has the 2 notes torpedo reactive load in IR embedded in the amplifier, and we will get into that in the demo. It's got a tone stack that's pretty straight ahead. You've got gain, treble, mid, bass, and then volume. Now, as I mentioned, it's a 2-channel amplifier, so the gain, that first control, only controls gain on the overdrive channel. On the clean channel, it's more like a generator series amp. It's a really sweet, open sounding clean, but you don't really control the gain on that particular channel. It's just very clean. Now you do share the same EQ and the same volume. It's fairly balanced, and we'll get into that in the demo. You've got some switches on the front. You have a wide switch that works on the clean or the dirty channel. It adds low end and a little bit of top end. We'll check that out. You can switch all the way down to 4 watts. We will check that out from 20 watts. Now you've got 4 switches next to the volume control. On the top is your channel switch. That's going to get you between the 2 channels. The aggression switch is for the 2nd channel. There's 2 modes of aggression, blue and red. We'll check that out in the demo. Underneath that, you have a pre and post switch. That's more for when you're using the reactive load. If you want to hear the power amp into the reactive load, you can. If you want to bypass the power amp and use power amp modelers, you can do that. That's what that switch is for. And then the store button is killer. Essentially anything you do on the front of the amplifier can be stored. Obviously not. It's not going to store the pots or potentiometer settings, but any buttons that you store, it'll store. And that also applies to using the IRs, and we'll get into that just briefly. Next to that, you have your headphone out, which sounds and works great, and your headphone level. Keep in mind, the headphone level is also your XLR out to the console or front of house or your DAW, whatever you happen to be using. Next to that is your virtual cabinet switch. On the front of the amplifier, you can store 6 different cabinets and choose between them on the rotary switch. We'll get into that a little bit as well. And then of course your standby and your on-off. On the back of the amplifier, you have a MIDI in, so it's fully MIDI controllable. Next to that is your USB out. That's for your torpedo embedded software. Next to that is your balanced output with a ground lift in case you're having a buzz issue. Below that are your biased test points. Next to that is a foot switch input. I haven't seen that foot switch. I don't know that it's in production yet. You'll have to check that out. Don't quote me on it, but obviously there is foot switchable capability with this amplifier. You do have an effects loop that sounds killer. And then next to that, you have your speaker out. You can choose either 8 ohm or 4 ohm output. And next to that, you have a switch that allows you to choose between the internal load on the amplifier. So you could use this direct to the console or just with headphones, or your speaker, if you have a speaker cabinet plugged into it, or both at the same time. Without further yammering on, let's check out the new REVV G20. For now, let's listen to it through my Bogner 2x12 cabinet. It's in my speaker closet. It's loaded with Selection V30s, and I'm using my usual microphone combination, which is a Royer R121 with a Shure SM 57. We'll start there, and then I'll briefly touch on the embedded sounds. The sounds that are in this amp right now, I don't believe those are the ones that are gonna ship with the one you get, but I thought I'd at least let you guys hear how that sounds, because it does sound great, so we'll touch on that as well. But yeah, let's just start with how it sounds mic'd up. Here's just the basic sound I've got going, a crunch tone. There's not a ton of gain happening right now. It's really clear with chords. What I want to do before I start changing any controls is explain the aggression mode. There's a blue mode and a red mode. They do add gain, hence I guess the aggression, but they also changed the shelving, so check it out. So not only in the blue mode am I hearing more gain, but I'm also hearing more top end and maybe just a little bit more low end. Now if you want it to have even more top end and more low end and more gain, then the red aggression mode. That's what you'll get. You'll get a little bit more low end, maybe a little less perceived mid, and some more top end. That was sloppy. God. Okay. So what I'm going to do is shut the aggression modes off, and I'm going to just focus on the amount of gain that you can get. So right now, I'll roll it all the way off. So even with that much gain, it still sounds really clear for chords. Now, obviously, in the aggression modes, so here's the gain all the way up in the red mode. So obviously you've got plenty of gain on tap for everything from rock to metal. You can still do country, tons of gain range. Okay, treble off. Treble all the way up. It adds kind of a high mid characteristic as you really crank it. Mids off. Mids all the way up. It's a fairly warm mid. There's a little bit of bark there. And then the bass off. Bass all the way up. Now, what I need to show you really quick in this mode is the wide switch. Now, the wide switch not only adds a little bit of low end, but it does add a little bit of top as well. Check it out. And it's low end that you feel as well. This may not translate as much on like an iPhone, but on studio speakers or in-ears, you'll definitely hear it. I like that mode on all the time. What the heck? It's got a clean channel. Hello. I guess I should show you guys that. I got so focused on the fact that it was a 2-channel amp and how cool those overdrive sounds were, I didn't show you the clean channel. So we hit said clean channel button, turns blue, and now we're on the clean channel. Now the clean channel is more like the Generator series amps, so you don't have a gain control on the clean channel. The gain is only for your drive tones or your overdrive channel. They got it pretty close. You do have to share the EQ. Works pretty well though, and it's really nice clean. It does take pedals well, so you could easily turn this into more of a 3-channel amp. If you have like, you know, like a crunch pedal or something that you really dig, you could use that on the clean and then use the other channel with the aggression modes for all the other overdrive stages. Now, the other thing I really dig is the amp remembers what you did. So you can see that when I go back to my clean channel, the wide mode actually shuts off. Now we can add that to the clean channel, and it really sounds great. And I think I would just leave it on. But if I shut that off and then go to my crunch mode, or the overdrive channel, the wide mode will come back on. Or say I really dug the blue mode. The amp will remember that. If I go to my clean, it'll shut wide off. But when I go back to my crunch setting, it'll automatically turn on the wide mode and the aggression. So that's a really nice feature. Everything can be stored. That's what the store button's for. You can get into all kinds of really cool settings, especially when you start using IRs. I'm not going to deep dive into that for this demo, but that works really well. Let me do this really quick. You have your half power switch. 4 watts. Okay. Just really quick, I want to touch on how the IRs sound. So I'm going to switch over. Right now what's on the IR is a 4x12 REV cabinet. There's more low end in the IRs. And what's on that IR right now is similar. It's an SM57 model and a Royer 121 model. And yes, I only know 3 chords. So whatever nerd potato out there is going to whine about it, I beat you to it. I know 3 chords. Okay, so that's a 4x12 cab. What else is going on here? Let's go to a 2x12 cab. Yeah, that's more focused. Sounds cool. What about, is there a... Yes, there's a 1x12 cab. Let's check that out. So obviously you can load whatever IRs you would like in this, whatever third-party IR. The 2-notes IRs are great. You're hearing Rev IRs. They're not, like I said, those aren't totally dialed in. Those are just what was on the amp. I do like the 4x12 quite a bit. That actually sounds really good. How's it sound with a clean? Sounds great with a clean. So that is the REVV G20. If you've got further questions, visit the website and check things out. Please subscribe. Please hit that like button. I really appreciate it. And we will see you next time.